Hello and welcome back to Manor Lords and the village of Waldbrand, which, fun fact, apparently means forest fire in German. A little bit too on the nose for this channel, but we're gonna roll with it anyway and hope it's not fortuitous. Anyway, in the previous video, we built this little village right here and all of the support buildings that it would need to survive. That includes our forestry industry. We've got a hunter, we've got a forager. We've got these farms that we began over here growing wheat and barley. We have this clay pit. We built a church, and we wrap things up by beginning work on our manor. And while all that has helped stabilize our village, we don't want to just survive, we want to thrive, which is why we're going to focus on the economy today. And that means taking all of these buildings and leveling them up so that they begin to generate wealth. And that wealth can be used for trading, or it can be taxed so that we can buy additional regions or even pay for a mercenary army. And speaking of trade, it's going to be the linchpin of all of this today because it's the single most important thing you can do to generate wealth and ensure that you never run out of food or materials. And to that end, I'm going to show you some tips that I've picked up that make trading as efficient as possible. And I'm excited to jump in, so let's get started. The first thing that we're going to focus on today is leveling up all of our burgage plots. Right now, these are all level 1. And what that means is that a family can live here, but they won't contribute at all to regional wealth. Now, regional wealth is really important because it's what you can use to purchase a chicken coop for the backyard or even trade with a neighbor. And you can tax regional wealth so that you can fund things like a mercenary army or even purchase other regions on the map. So really, regional wealth makes the whole world go round. So to get regional wealth, our burgage plots need to be at least level 2. If they're level 2, they'll look a lot nicer and they'll generate regional wealth. And if we get them to level 3, multiple families can live on a burgage plot. So it's really in our best interest to start leveling these up. Now, unlike a game like Anno, where when you level this up, you get a different type of worker, you only will get artisans and craftsmen if you upgrade a certain path once these have leveled up. So we don't have to worry about that. We just need to get these things leveled up. Now, to figure out what we need to do to level these up, all you got to do is click on one of these and we will start to see the requirements. The general requirements for amenities are water and church. It's already got both of those, and then a certain number of stalls in our market. So we need a fuel stall, 2 food stalls, and a clothing stall. So we're missing one of the 2 food stalls and we're missing a clothing stall. And once we add those, we should be able to click on this button and upgrade these to level 2. The other reason why this is important is if we get 2 level 2 burgage plots, we'll upgrade to medium village, which means that we'll get more development points and we can specialize our town and make it much more efficient. And we're going to use those to ensure that trading is as efficient as it can be. So let's begin by building a tannery. Now, the reason I want to build the tannery is we're already producing hides at our hunting camp, and we can use those hides to produce leather, which will fulfill our clothing requirement at our marketplace. So I'm going to build this a little ways away from our town. And the reason for that is proximity to marketplace is what really drives our residential buildings' ability to level up. So I think adding this anywhere near there doesn't make a ton of sense. We also have a large storage shed right here, so it makes sense to have this within close proximity. It'll just be much more efficient in general. So there we go. We'll have to wait for that to get built. And while we're doing that, I want to look around the town and make sure that we're doing things that make sense. Now, the first thing I want to look at is our farm over here. I assigned a ton of workers to work at this farm, and I just don't think that it makes a ton of sense. We've only got 2 small fields, and I'm not even sure that our configuration there makes the most sense due to a couple of things I saw in the comments that urged me to check the fertility here. So we have wheat, and then we're going to switch over to flax. And if you'll notice right here, the fertility for flax is really low. So as much as I'd love flax to produce linens, I think that we're going to switch this over to wheat and produce things that we can actually grow. Same thing over here. We're producing barley. We're not doing all that great with that over here with the barley fertility. So we'll switch this over to wheat as well. And I believe that we assigned a worker to the granary, and I'm not sure that we need this here either. So we're going to remove this employee. And the reason for that is I actually want to move them over to our other granary, which is closer to some of our food options that we are generating. Now, it's important to know that when you assign an employee to the granary, they'll actually open up a stall at our marketplace. So we want to make sure that that stall actually has food in it. And we can do that by ensuring that it's the granary that actually has food in it. And this one should have considerably more. And over here, we have our hunting camp and we have our forager hut. I think we have 2 employees here. That's probably unnecessary considering we're depleting our wild animals resource pretty rapidly. So we'll switch that over. And then over here at our forager's hut, I want to assign at least 1 family so that we start picking these berries. And honestly, we have a lot of them. Maybe we should assign 2. And then finally, I want to make our way over to our lumber industry area because I made a pretty big mistake. So I never added a forester. And what that means is that we basically cut down every single tree around here. So I'm going to grab the forester's hut and we'll tuck that away back here a little way so it feels like it's in the woods. And then I want to make sure that we are still generating fuel. So I want to take a look at our woodcutter's lodge. Nothing there. We'll add an employee there, or a family there. And the same thing with our charcoal kiln. And honestly, all of that is going to take a while to build. So why not just pile on for just a moment? I thought it might be useful to look at all of our burgage plots and see which plots are large enough to support an additional home. So if they do support an additional home, you'll see this little icon right here. So we'll expand the living space and it'll double the family count there, which I think is going to help us because we're going to need employees today. So I'm going to go through the rest of these and see which ones we can add a family to. And there were a few of these that we could expand, so I've gone ahead and done that. Now, we just added a ton of things to build, and I think it's worth pointing out that we're still working on our manor that we started construction on at the end of our last episode. So there's a lot of things that we need to construct, and as a result, I want to take a step back from this, and rather than just letting things build, I want to take out some of these bandit camps. So we have a number of bandit camps that have been showing up, and if we don't take these out, they will come to our little region right here and start to attack us. So to take these out, I want to first figure out where they are. Click on this and we can see that there's a bandit camp right there. Now this is a ways away from us, but we should be able to get there relatively swiftly. So we are going to form a militia. So we'll go under army. I'm going to create a new unit, and I know that we have enough weapons to form a spear militia. So then I'm going to take both our retinue and our spear militia, and I'm going to rally them to right here. And now here we go. We've got our retinue and our spear army, so I think it's time to go after them. So I'm going to just select all of these and then zoom out. And if we right mouse click to where we want them to go, they will start marching over here. Now I'm thinking that we want to come up here first, and then we're going to go down to this clearing right here because I don't want to start attacking from the woods. It'll leave us at a tactical disadvantage. The other nice thing about bringing them over here is you can see that our retinue was a little bit slower and they're both fatigued because we've sent them on quite a long trek. So I'm allowing them to recharge their batteries a little bit before we send them in to take out the bandits camp. And now that we've given them time to recharge their batteries, I'm going to send them right in. Now, the bandits are going to start coming at us once we get close enough. So it's important that we try to make our way over here. You can already see them coming out, and we are in the clearing, but they're not heading towards us. That is bizarre. So I will get them from behind. They're going after our retinue, and I think they completely missed us. Oh my goodness, what are you guys doing? Go get over here. Go help out. Go help out. And holy cow, this is one heck of a battle. It looks like we've lost one of our spear militia members, but the fight is still going on, and I think we're doing okay. And I think you can tell by the cheering, we have succeeded. Now, we need to go and actually go to the bandit camp, even though it's empty, and that's because we want to clear it. And now that we've cleared it, we get this new message, and it says that when searching through enemies' belongings, you find a stash of goods. They could be sent to your people who surely need them, though it is your right to keep it. So this is a tough one, because if we send the resources to our town, we will get a ton of money that we could use for trading. I'm thinking that this belongs to my treasury now. And you can see we now have 173 gold in our treasury. This could also be used to purchase militias, which could be helpful if we want to start taking on more of these bandit camps in the future. Now, I just want to double check to see if there are any more of those. You can see them when you have that little campsite, and it doesn't seem like there are any that are close to us. So I think at this point, we've kind of just got to sit tight. Now, I don't want to leave these guys out here, so we will highlight them. And then we will bring them back to our lands, the closest segment of our lands, and then we can disband the units once they get over here. And now to disband these, all I have to do is click on it. Now that we're inside of our land, we can just hit disband unit. They'll get back to what they normally do. And considering these are just folks from your town, they're going to be happy to get back to it. Now, one thing I just noticed is that a food stall was just added over to our marketplace, which makes me think that maybe we can start to level up some of these buildings. Actually, we have to wait. We have to wait for our tannery still. So I'm going to increase the construction priority. And if we look at these, I want to see if any of them, yeah, this one right here actually has the number of food stalls that we need. We're just missing the clothing. So with that in mind, I think we'll sit tight and wait for this thing to get built. And it took a little while, but now it's finished. So we'll add a family to the tannery. Now, we just received notification that we have a clothing stall here at the market. So I want to go through and see if we can upgrade any of these. And this one's still under construction, so obviously not that one. This one is missing a food stall. This one is missing a food stall as well. This one is also missing a food stall. I think you get the point. Now, what that means is that we've run out of one of these foods, and yeah, we're -1 meat. So we've got a couple of solutions for this problem. We can wait for our wheat to get harvested and then turn it into bread. That'll give us 2 different food options. Or we can spend some of this regional wealth that we have to grow things in some of these backyards. I think that's the approach I'm going to take. So I'm going to take this burgage plot, and we're going to have chickens in the backyard. So adding a chicken coop will have a passive yield of eggs in the backyard. So we'll do that here. That'll cost us half of our regional wealth. And then for the neighboring plot, we'll do the exact same thing. And once that's done, they'll start selling their chickens at the market. We'll have 2 food stalls, and hopefully we'll be able to level these up. Now, we've let a little bit of time go by, and I just want to check these out again. Yes, we can finally do it. So I'm going to pause this because I don't want to inadvertently lose this. We're going to level this one up to level 2. This one right here is still missing that food stall. Any of the rest of these, same deal. But this one will allow us to level up, so we'll do that as well. So I want to speed this along, and I know that 5 burgage plots will actually get us beyond medium city to a large city. So if we're able to do that anytime soon, we are absolutely going to do it. And there we go. We have our first level 2 burgage plot. So this thing will start to generate regional wealth, and it just looks a ton nicer. You can see that it actually has roof tiles rather than what looks like a grass roof. Just looks in general a lot more put together. Now these other burgage plots still are not leveling up, but we don't have to worry about that all that much. You can see that we've just harvested a ton of wheat, and as a result, we are going to have a second food that hopefully benefits all of our burgage plots. So to get this going, we are going to need to turn our wheat into flour. So we'll add an employee at our windmill, and then we'll need to turn that flour into bread, and we'll do that at our communal oven. So with that, we have everything that we need to produce bread. And once that's done, we are going to need to bring this to the market. So we'll add an employee to our granary as well, and they will open up a stall selling bread down here. And there we go with our second level 2 building, which allows us to reach the next level and get a new development point. And that is the first place I want to go, is to take a look at our development tree, because we're going to really be focusing on this trading tree. I already know that we need to get the trade logistics policy. It caps the maximum cost of a new trade route at 25 regional wealth. That is key, because the first one will be about 25, and if you don't have this policy, they can jump up into the hundreds, and it can be completely unaffordable to open up a new trade route. So this policy is basically a requirement. The next policy we're going to get is better deals, which removes the foreign tariffs, which basically makes importing goods the exact same as producing them and selling them to the outside world. So it can be a really good deal. Now to get this, we are going to need to reach our next level, which means that we need 3 more level 2 burgage plots. So I am very, very curious at this point. Any of these? No. Now you might be noticing I'm only checking these ones right here, and that's because I know that these ones will level up after these ones. Now they will eventually level up, but it's going to take a little while, and it'll certainly be after these ones that are within close proximity to the market. Now one thing that we might be able to do to force the issue a bit is build a couple of homes with close access to the market. So I'm going to build just a couple right here. And then we might as well just round this out, right? So we'll fill that in as well. And then right around the church is going to be another hot spot for leveling up. So I'm going to add a road around the church. And then I think I want to have a loop in the back. So I'm just going to add a node here, one here, one here, one here, and then one here. And then before I close it out, if I hold down control, I can actually adjust the curvature of this. And you can see, you can make it look really bad or really, really good. Now, the whole reason that I wanted to do that is we are going to construct homes around this curve. Okay, I went a little bit ham, but I just love adding these plots around here. Just look at the way I was able to curve these nicely around the road. And because of the proximity here to both the market and the church, these should all eventually become level 2 buildings, which is going to be huge for us. Now, I also want to think about our trading post, and that's because this is really what we're building up to at this point. So I'm going to add that right about here, right off the King's Road, but not in the middle of our community. And there we go. And we're going to start to see all of these homes filling in rather rapidly. Now, while those are filling in, I do want to double check these. Do we have, the requirements yet? Not yet. We just have to sit tight and wait for that next food stall to open up. So while all of this is filling in, I think we should take out another bandit camp. So let's reform our armies and we'll get them to rally at this point over here because our bandit camp is actually really close. So if we don't take this one out, we are going to be in a world of pain. And it's funny, we just gathered over here and the bandits are already coming our way. So let's meet them where they are. And it's funny, when you go over this, you can see their effectiveness as they come through and they should be much more effective. No, they're much less effective right here, but hopefully we don't lose all that many of them. Now, I do have the ability to do things like pull back or push forward, but I think we're going to leave it right now. I'm not 100% well-versed in all of this, so we're feeling it out right now. And we lost 2 spearmen, quite unfortunately, but we did get rid of the bandits and we are able to clear their camp now. So let's send our troops over and clear that camp out. Now, once again, we have that same message. What are we going to do with the spoils of war? And I think we're going to send them to the town this time because we're going to need some money once our trading post is put together. And that adds 127 regional wealth, which is going to be really, really helpful for us. So now that we have all of this regional wealth, I want to purchase another oxen. And the main reason for this is it'll make it a ton faster to build all these buildings. Right now we have 1 oxen that is being shared between every single workplace and every single construction site. So it is wildly inefficient. So we'll purchase a second one. And I'm going to assign someone to the stable space to increase the efficiency of that as well. I desperately want to upgrade this. I know that I shouldn't, considering the number of projects that we have going on, but I'm going to do it. And I'll set the priority to very highest. It'll be our highest priority. Now, I mentioned all of that wealth that we have in the treasury, and it makes me think that maybe now is the time to start to think about hiring a militia. So to do that, we'll hit create new units, and then we will hire mercenaries. So now we have 3 different types of mercenaries that we can hire. We've got some that are 45 and they go all the way up to 90. For 45, we get some Frenchmen who don't mix with the locals and spend what money they have at the taverns. We also have for 60, some brotherhood of men that wears very tight hosen. And then we also have these reformed band of outlaws sporting fashionable green hats. So I'm thinking that maybe we should go for the Frenchmen to save some money for now. And if we have to, we'll hire some others in the future. And there we go. We've hired some mercenaries. And you can see, look at that. That gives us a ton of troops. And honestly, it makes me want to find even more of these bandit camps. And one of the main reasons for that is it takes 1,000 influence to claim a region. And we are very, very close. But unfortunately, no bandits anywhere in the region right now. So we'll just have to sit tight. But the moment that we see one, we are going to go and attack it. And oh my goodness, we just learned a very expensive lesson. Apparently we have to pay the mercenaries every month and it is 45 gold. So even though we haven't used them, we just spent a ton of money on them and we're not generating any money in our treasury. So in about 2 months, less than, we're not going to have enough money to afford them. So that is going to be a problem for us. Hopefully we can start to level up some of these buildings. Oh, we can. But pause it. We'll level up every last one of these that we can. Which was 2, just this one and this one. That leaves us 1 away from reaching our next level, which is going to be absolutely huge for us when it comes to trading. Now our trading post is complete and we are going to focus on this immediately. First of all, it says that we are disconnected from the major trade routes. So that means that we have to buy some trade routes. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a family, assign them to the trading post. Actually, we'll assign 2. And then I need to purchase some trading routes. So purchasing trading routes is how you are able to actually trade things along these routes. So the first thing I want to do, you can see we are running out of food. So let's trade for some food. So I'll purchase a bread trade route. This is going to cost us 24 gold. And that comes directly from our regional wealth. Now, there are a couple of ways that we can handle trading. So if we click on this, we can import the item only, we can export the item only, or do full trade, which will look to find an equilibrium at all points in time. I know that we are going to be producing bread, so I want to reach an equilibrium. And I want to have at least 25 bread at all times. And if we go above that, we'll sell our bread. If we go below that, we will look to purchase it from an outside vendor. I also want to buy some things that are potentially a little bit cheaper. So let's buy some meat, and this will be the exact same deal. And we'll go for 25 again. Now I'm keeping this relatively modest because if we hover over here, you can see the export and the import price. So the export price of this is 2. The import price is 12, and that is because we have a tariff. We can remove that tariff if we get one more level 2 building. The moment that we can do that, it'll cost us 2 gold to import meat and 4 gold to import bread. So it's going to be incredibly important that we actually find that next level 2 building. And look at that. We have another burgage plot that we can upgrade to level 2 and another one right here. Let's see if we have these ones. And now our limitation is actually timber. That honestly is a great place to be in. So we're going to sit tight and wait for some of these buildings to get built. Then we'll adopt that new policy, which will make importing all of our food that much cheaper. And the moment I was waiting for has happened. We have a new bandit camp. Now, unfortunately, I believe that, we've lost all of our hired help, but still, we are going to take out this bandit camp and make some money. Now, they are right over here, which is pretty close to where we are, so this should be an easy attack. We're going to rally right over here, right at the edge of our land. And then once we attack them, we should be able to have enough influence to take one of these territories. And now we're at the border, and look at, they're already coming for us. That is amazing. I think we're just going to wait here and wait for our batteries to recharge and see what happens. And I can't believe this. I cannot believe that they came right at us. What is going on here? This is bizarre. Are we running away? Yeah, they're running away. I can't believe that. Don't run away. I didn't tell you to run away. Go after them. Get in the fight. Now, I'm not going to lie, that was pretty frustrating. Even though we won this, we lost a couple members of our retinue, and the whole reason for that is because they ran away. So I don't know what to make of that. I'm not sure why they did that, but we will go over here, disband this camp, and at least collect our influence and our money. Actually, we've already got our influence. So while they're walking over here, let's claim our land. And there's 3 lands that we could claim right now. We could claim either this one that we are currently walking through, which honestly has some good resources. It's got a rich deposit of wild animals and iron. It's also very large and close to us. And then this one over here is a rich deposit of berries. Not as concerned about that. I think we'll take this one and we'll claim that with influence. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Hildenbolt could decide to declare war on us, but I'm guessing that he won't. I mean, reasonably, he's claimed half the world at this point. We should probably declare war on him, but we have no troops. So now let's figure out where our money's going. I think this goes to the treasury, and we're going to save this. The next time that we need some mercenaries, we'll pay for it just when we need them. Just in time delivery of mercenaries. And we will disband our units. Now, these aren't growing because we don't have the materials to grow these units. So we are going to need to start to think about that, which means that we probably need to start to think about iron at some point soon. And you know, I just realized we're trying to claim this land, so we probably could have just stayed there and waited for our claim to be secured, and then we could have just disbanded at that point, but not going to worry about it. We'll just disband now. Everything will be just fine. Back in our community, it looks like most of our homes have been built, so I just want to check to see if we can level any of these up, and look at that. We can level a ton of these up. And it's funny, these just got built, and we're basically tearing them down to the studs immediately, but you got to do what you got to do. And honestly, we could level even more of these up if we had a bit more timber. So what that makes me think is maybe we need to come over here and start to reprioritize this. First of all, we never assigned our employee over here at the forester's hut. So we'll do that. And then I want to assign even more folks over at our logging camp. Now, for our forester's hut, I think we should micromanage this one. I don't like to do that all that often, but the forester's hut is one I like to micromanage. So we will assign the work area. And it looks really small to start out with, but if you hold down control, you can actually adjust the size. You can make it either teeny tiny or make it huge. And I think we'll set it to basically be this gigantic hole right here. And that's where they'll plant trees, and I'll assign an additional worker there. So only one overhead, but I'm not overly concerned. We're still building some homes. We've still got a lot of extra space, and eventually it'll start to fill in and we'll be in a good spot. And our claim was just completed. So if we take a look, we now own both of these regions, which is outstanding. Maybe in the next episode, we'll found a little city over here in this region, but for now, we'll just be happy that we are one step closer to our domination victory. And would you look at that? Our settlement level has increased because we now have enough level 2 buildings. This is critical. If you want to make a lot of money in this game, you must adopt this policy right here, better deals. This is going to completely change our fortune for the rest of the game because now trading is going to be super competitive. So back at our trading post, let's look at our prices. And would you check this out? Stone now costs 1 gold to import. Planks cost 2 gold to import. And if we look at our food, we're between 2 to 4 gold to import food. This makes it so that we really don't even need to grow our own food if we don't want to. We could import everything. Our biggest limitation at this point is regional wealth to purchase trading routes. And now you can see we've got a lot of level 2 buildings. All these buildings with the nicer roofs, but I think we could have even more. So I'm going to try to upgrade the rest of these. And then I want to focus on our fuel for just a moment because we are running out. So let's go ahead and upgrade all of these that we can. And oh my goodness, it was most of the homes in the city could be upgraded to level 2. So these are going to take a while to construct. In the meantime, I want to make sure that we don't run out of fuel like I mentioned. So we'll add a woodcutter and we'll add a worker at our charcoal kiln, a family at our charcoal kiln. And then the other thing I want to think about is way over here at our windmill, we're starting to see some more crops get processed. So I want to make sure that we are making some flour because we already have all of our employees at our communal oven, way too many. So we'll take that down to 1 and we should be able to process all of that flour. And now I have one more thing on my mind, 2 more things actually. First of all is level 3. So we've got a number of level 2 buildings at this point. We know that with level 3, we can get more families in the same plot. Now to get level 3, we need tavern access and we need church access. We need level 2 church. Level 2 church is a church that has a tile roof and is a bit nicer. We also need more clothing. So we can start to attack some of this. And in particular, having 10 tiles to upgrade this into a small stone church seems pretty mild, especially when we're already generating a whole bunch of clay over here. So let's go ahead and build a clay furnace. And this will help us turn this clay into clay roof tiles. Those tiles will help us level up our church. Next, I'm thinking a lot about our trading post and what we are doing to make this sustainable. And what I mean by that is we aren't really selling anything right now. We are just importing and spending all of the regional wealth that we are generating with our level 2 buildings. So the moment that we can, I want to take a step back and rather than spending all of our money importing goods, I want to start to purchase a trade route where we could sell something. So I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to say no trade for both our bread and our meat. So no more trading anything for a little while. We're just going to generate regional wealth from our level 2 buildings. And once we have enough, we'll purchase some more trade routes. In the meantime, we'll just let things roll. And we have another bandit camp, which gets to be really, really excited because I love taking these things out. So this one honestly looks fairly large and it is also fairly close to us in this region that we could have purchased before. Now, I want to take this out, but I want to use some mercenaries. So this time around, let's go ahead and we'll purchase that mercenary unit. And we'll go right back towards our Frenchmen. And now that we have these, I'm not 100% sure how to use them. So I'm going to try to send them right here. And it looks like they're coming from somewhere way over there. Let's see. Oh yeah, there they are. They're way over there. So I will have them come to way over here. And they'll slowly make their way over. Now, interestingly, they don't appear to get fatigued from all this travel, so I'm going to send them all the way over here. We might as well. And now the bandits have noticed the mercenary company coming over, and we just paid them again, so we've got to win this battle. Now, this is fascinating. I don't know why they're coming in for melee combat. You'd expect them to shoot from far away. Stop moving. What are you guys doing? And it looks like after I backed them out, they took one shot and then went in for some more melee, which is, again, not what an archer unit is good at. But either way, they have won, so let's go ahead and raid this bandit camp. And there we go. We've cleared the camp and we need this in our treasury. We've got to pay for these guys somehow, and that is going to be how we do it. So good enough for me. Now, I'm not sure what to do with these. Can I just disband them for now? And we'll call them back when we need them? That seems like the reasonable approach. The one that doesn't cost us a ton of money. We just don't need to keep them on retainer. That doesn't make a ton of sense. And now we can come back over here and see if we can level up any of the rest of these. And the answer to that is no. We've got a whole bunch of stuff that we're leveling up, but we do have a little bit more regional wealth now. So I want to set up some trade routes so we can actually sell things. So we could sell some planks. That is something that we could do. We have some, but that's not probably the best approach. I'll go back into materials, and even though this doesn't make as much money, I think that we could probably easily sell some firewood. It's only $4 to establish that trade route. So we'll make this an export only route. We want to have at least 35 firewood. And then I want to sell some roof tiles as well. Now, I know we're not producing any right now, but we are going to very shortly. So we will establish this trade route. We'll make it an export route, and we want to have at least 30 on hand. So with that in mind, I want to assign some employees over to our clay furnace, but we haven't even built this thing yet. So we'll need to turn the speed up here. And now our clay furnace is finally complete. This looks a lot like our tannery, which is pretty interesting. I'm going to assign a couple of workers here, and these workers are going to take all this clay that we've already mined and turn it into roof tiles. And then we'll be able to sell those. I'm also going to add one more worker to our mining pit because this is going to be how we generate most of our money. And now you can see that we are starting to generate some decent regional wealth. So we should probably make sure that we aren't going to run out of food or fuel. So I'm going to take the rest of our employees and we'll assign them to our woodcutter and our charcoal kiln. And that will help out with our fuel. And then you can see we are generating a ton of revenue. So I want to go back in here. And first of all, we're going to order a new horse. The horses are used to actually bring things to and from the trading post. So by buying a horse, we are making this building more efficient. So we'll do that. That's 30 of our gold, and then we will re-enable some of our food trading routes. So once again, full trade on our meat, full trade on our bread. And then you can see that we don't have enough hitching post space, so we are going to add a new hitching post. And that's right here underneath logistics. And if we didn't have this, we could have our horse that we just ordered abandon us, which would be terrible. So once again, we will make our construction priority here the absolute highest that it can be. And there we go. We have our hitching post with our horse, but I want to upgrade this thing right away because that's who I am. We'll make this a small stable, and I'm thinking that we'll order a second horse right off the bat because we've got a ton of money, but I want to slow things down because there is something else I want to order. If we look at this, what's going to make this a level 3 building is having a tavern. We need to have a tavern, and we need to have additional clothing. So I think that we should start working on our tavern tree. And the first thing that we need is going to be barley. So we'll take the barley, we'll turn it into malt, then we'll brew it into beer, and then we'll sell it at our tavern. But we aren't growing barley right now, so we will import it. And we'll have a full trade route because in the future we may grow this, and I want to import 50 barley. Now, knowing that we're doing this, let's go ahead and build our malt house. And again, I don't want this to be too close to all of our stuff, so we'll place this just a little bit off the side. And I'm going to speed this one up because I want this to occur relatively quickly. And along with that, we are going to need to specialize one of our level 2 buildings to have a brewery extension. So this costs 5 planks and 5 gold, but it takes the malt and turns it into ale. So we'll purchase that. And then underneath residential, we're going to grab our tavern. And even though the tavern will have a market stall, I'm going to keep this fairly close to our downtown because this building actually produces entertainment, which is helpful to keep our citizens happy. So we'll place that right there. Now, interestingly, we have completely run out of families for construction of all these buildings, so we have to figure out who we can move around. And I am thinking that we can remove our worker from our windmill, and they should be able to go help construct buildings. Now, again, we only have one unassigned family, so I want to see if there are any of these buildings that we can convert to have a 2-family unit. And I found one right here. This is our level 2 building. We'll add an extra living space, and we'll add one right here as well. So that'll give us a little bit more overhead. And in the meantime, we just have to sit tight as our coffers continue to fill and our buildings get built. And while we were waiting, we made a boatload of cash. We currently have 400 regional wealth. So I want to establish another trade route and purchase another horse. So this will be our second horse. And I'm going to assign them both to this building. And then for our trade route, I know that one of the things that we're missing is another source of clothing. So we can't actually do anything with linen right now. So I think that we'll just import it. And we'll do the exact same thing with wool. And while we have money, let's open up some other trade routes as well. We'll open up berries. We'll say full trade. And for this one, I'm going to increase it. We'll have 100. Honestly, we'll do the same with all of these. We want to start having some decent overhead with our food. And we'll do the same thing with eggs and vegetables. And we've spent most of our money, and I'm now noticing I overbought on the horses. So I don't want our horse to run away. So let's go ahead and we'll build that hitching post. We'll even build it over here. We'll say that it's the Lord's horse, and we'll put that right here. And there we go. We've got our hitching post, good enough for our horse. And that's a weird spot, I know. But eventually, we're going to really expand this thing out, and it'll be inside of the gates. Now, I just noticed that we found another bandit camp. So you better believe that we are going to go take that bad boy out. It is close to us, so this might be an easy one for us to take out with just our little army right here. It's not very big, so I'm going to go for it. And I will rally them to just about right here. And now you can see that our bandits are already running over, getting ready to take our guys out. But honestly, they're in a fairly effective spot, so I might allow them to just wait here. And I'm going into a stand your ground stance, which will improve our defenses. And we easily defeated them. So let's go ahead and remove this. And thankfully, we didn't lose anyone that time, which is fantastic. And there we go. Another bandit camp cleared. We are really close to being able to purchase another region with influence, but for now, let's send our resources to the town so we have even more in our regional wealth, and then we'll disband this unit once more. Now, as they come back, the whole reason why I wanted regional wealth is once again because we are going to be monsters of trading. So I want to establish a couple of trade routes that maybe aren't important right now, but probably will be in the future. So the first one is stone. We don't have a resource. We don't have the ability to actually produce stone right now. So let's purchase this trade route. And I want this to be a full trade route. We're going to set this to 100. So we'll generate some revenue for now. And then we'll always have some stone available. Honestly, that's probably even more than we need. We'll just say 50. And then I want to do the exact same thing for planks. Full trade, and we'll go 50. Now, I don't know what blocks are for, so I'm not going to worry about those right now. But I do want to start to think about some of our military stuff. So we haven't started working our iron yet, which means that we aren't in a position to produce any of this, or at least any of our weapons. So let's start to buy some side arms and some spears. And we'll get some gambesons as well. And for the rest of these shields and things of the like, I think let's just do the whole thing. We'll do the entire chain. And then we'll make these full trade routes because eventually we will produce these and we will sell them. But for now, we'll import some so that we can have some larger units. So we are going to be spending some money, folks. So if we have another battle, you better believe that we are going to take it. But in the meantime, we'll disband our unit and continue to work on our level 2 buildings. But before we do that, let me see, do we have enough to upgrade our church? We do. We've got our 10 tiles. So we will begin work on that because that is one of the few things that we need to get to level 3 with all of these buildings. And we just had a group of raiders get spotted. So I am very curious about this. What are we going to do to take care of them? Holy cow, we've got a lot. So let's hire some mercenaries. And this time, let's get the Brotherhood of the Forest. Let's see what they're all about. And I'm just curious, do we get more fighters? We don't, but we get 2 different types of units, which could be useful. Now I'm going to grab both of these units and we will try to bring them over here. And let's see where they are. They are a ways away, way over here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're a long ways away. But they are making their way over, which is going to be really helpful. Look at these raiders, though. They are heading right towards us. In the meantime, I'm going to take our existing troops and mobilize them. And hopefully we can take these guys and put them in a defensive stance. So we'll stand our ground here. And boy, we are grossly outnumbered. So hopefully we don't lose everyone. Oh my goodness. This looks like it's going to be terrible for us. Yeah, we've lost. Oh my goodness. It is absolutely a massacre. We have lost all of our units. That is absolutely terrible. However, here we are. We've got our mercenaries and they are right here ready to go. And we beat them. Get out of here with all that nonsense. Now, I'm glad that we were able to take them out. However, I don't think we get much from that outside of a little bit of influence, which is nice. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh my goodness, they are in our town. They are in our town and they are burning stuff down. We are going to slow things down. I have no idea what happened to our mercenaries, but they appear to be done with all of this. So let's hire this company and hopefully they can come help us out. It feels, I don't know what happened. That is absolutely crazy. But our whole city is now getting burned down because our mercenaries have fleed us. Oh my goodness. Where are you guys? Where are you guys? I think they're a long ways away. They're so far away. Maybe this is why you keep them on retainer. Would you look at that? They're just lighting things on fire. What are they doing over here? Oh my goodness. They're just walking through town. They're chasing people down. Now, thankfully, I finally have control of our mercenaries again, and they are finally making their way over here, but not before a bunch of buildings were lit on fire. Now, I'm a little bit concerned that we don't have the money for these mercenaries, so I'm going to slow things down for just a moment, and we're going to start to tax people. I really am sad about this, but we're going to have to do it. Now, the sad thing is we're taxing 1 gold. So I don't know that this is actually going to be worthwhile, but we're going to do what we have to do. And the enemy has spotted our mercenaries and they are coming this way. I'm going to take these guys and have them come and fall out to this location. Hopefully it'll be easier to find them then. And then as soon as they get over here, I'm going to take a defensive posture and hopefully be able to shoot at them from distance. And you can see it is an absolute melee right now. And honestly, we have more troops, but we shouldn't be like this. I'm going to try to give ground and back up so that we can shoot from distance. And thankfully, we were able to clear this raid. Everyone is gone. Go and retreat. Get out of here. That nonsense. I wonder, can we chase him? I am absolutely ridiculously tired of all of the bandits. And if we could chase them out of here and defeat them once and for all, I mean, obviously it's not once and for all, but we'll keep trying. They're running really fast. They are very motivated to leave. Anyway, I will disband this unit because I'm not overly concerned about that. And look at all of the influence that we have right now. What this means is one of two things. We can either claim both of these territories or take a territory from Hildebold. I'm inclined to just grab both of these and do it at the same time. We'll see how he feels about that. Probably not great, but you know what? We're going to roll with it. And then over here, we're still having fires, but you know what? These will get put out eventually. They're dutifully taking buckets of water and trying to put out all of our level 2 buildings. Wonderful. Now I'm realizing something. Our citizens are excellent builders, but maybe not so great at putting out fires. They're basically putting up buildings as fast as they burn down, but they're letting all the buildings burn down. It is what it is. Right here, we've got rubble, and I assume that as soon as this burns down, they'll get both of these rebuilt in no time. Now, one thing I am noticing is we've got some bodies that need burial. That would happen at the church, but some of these bodies are actually not our men. So what I'm thinking is we are going to build a corpse pit because not all deserve to be buried on consecrated ground. And that's where these raiders deserve to be. We'll put them out in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere. And to that, I'll say out of sight, out of mind. Make this a very high priority because we absolutely don't want that. And look at that. We just got 2 new regions. The map is looking very good for Sir Philip. Loving it. Now we're starting to see our workers run over here so we can build our corpse pit. And that is done. We'll add one employee here, one family, and they can pick up all of this nonsense and hide the evidence, because obviously this wouldn't be fun to see as you walk into town, a bunch of dead bodies all over the place. And in no time at all of our bodies are picked up. I will take this worker, and as soon as Hans is done, and it looks like they are done, we'll just remove them and completely good to go. Now, coming back over to our little city over here, we're starting to see some of our final projects get put together. So we now have our tavern. So I will absolutely assign a barkeep over here. And then our brewery has been built as well. So we have to find our malt house again and make sure that that has an employee so that we can take all that barley, turn it into malt, and then brew it at our brewery over here. And let's take a look at this brewery for a second. I want to see how this looks. It doesn't look all that different from the other buildings, but it does look nice. And then looking over here, we do have some barley. So we will take this barley, we'll turn it into malt, and then we'll brew it into beer. We got 2 malt already, so we are well on our way. So that is one of the requirements to be able to get to level 3. And I'm really hoping that we are going to be able to do that now that we are importing some clothing and we are getting some beer. And if we turn around here, look at that. Our church is nearly complete. Now, we're completely rebuilt from the fire, so let's see if we can upgrade the rest of these buildings to level 2. And this one right here, not only can we upgrade it, we can add an extra living space. We'll upgrade first. And there were a couple more over here that we could upgrade, but we're still struggling with some of these that are the furthest away from the market. Now, we're also starting to see stuff like this where we have generic storage that is full. That is right here at our large storehouse. And reasonably, this is occurring because we are out of employees to move things around. So I'm going to add an employee here, and I want to come back over here to our field, and oh my goodness, we have more rubble. So we've got to rebuild a couple of things. And in the meantime, let's remove the employee from this granary, and they will help rebuild all of this stuff. And we are back in business in no time. That is looking good. Now, I don't think that we have any employees assigned anywhere except for the farmhouse, and I kind of want to keep it that way, including our communal oven. If we don't have flour, which we don't, I'm going to completely get rid of the employee there. Now, that'll help us upgrade some of the remaining buildings that we have, which there aren't many of, and potentially we can reassign them to places like our trading post, where we really could use some more employees. And I'm going to completely max that out, and I'll remove one of the employees from the mining pit so that we have 2 available in our overhead. And now we're at a spot where we can just let the rest of everything build out and let the rest of our trades take place, because we have a lot of regional wealth and we are basically at a spot where all of our buildings are at level 2. So I think the last few things that we have are things like our church and a couple more level 2 buildings. So let's let those things fill in. And it's taken a bit, but our church is now complete, and I think it's looking really, really good. Now, I am wondering if this allows us to upgrade any of these buildings to level 3. And it looks like we're missing a clothing stall for that one, and for that one, and for that one, and for that one. So I think we get the picture. We've got to get more clothing options in this community. What that means to me is maybe we need to embark upon some livestock trading, but I think level 3 buildings and livestock trading are going to be something that we reserve for the next one, along with maybe founding another community in one of these other regions that we picked up. Now, I am curious. The whole focus of this episode was the economy, and you can see that we have 2 gold right now. But we need to remember that gold is not the only measure of our economy. It's also all the goods that we have. So when we look in here, we can see that we've got a lot of stuff that is just sitting here at our trading post, which makes me a little bit leery. And when we look at our trades themselves, we can see that we are still getting rid of a lot of stuff. We have a lot of roof tiles that we are still going to be exporting. Now, I want to think about this a little bit more. I don't think I want full trade for planks. We can easily make our own. So I'm going to set this to export only. And once we have 50, we will do that. And then I want to go into food. And I've been giving this some thought as well. First of all, I forgot to actually buy a trading route for meat. No big deal. We'll get that eventually. But I have full trade for all these, and I think I just want to import. Once we have a baseline of food, I don't want to go below that. And my fear is that by having full trade for all of these, we're never going to have a large supply of food. So that's a problem. And then over at all our military stuff, we're not producing any of this right now. So it doesn't make a ton of sense to have full trade. I'm going to say import only for all of these. And then lastly, I want to look at our materials because I believe that we are exporting wood. Yeah, but we're exporting firewood at 35. Let's bump this up to 150. Let's give ourselves a bit more overhead than we were. Now, I'm inclined to let this run for a little while to let all of those trades happen. But before we do that, knowing that there's kind of a glut of goods over here, I want to adjust our large storehouse. We'll give a couple of employees there. And then I also want to go over here to our granary, and we'll add an employee over here. And we're going to upgrade this to a large granary. And what that will do is allow some of our goods to be transported back and forth between these buildings. And now I'm inclined to let this run for a little while to see if we can balance out our economy and make some money. And it took us 10 months, but we finally reached equilibrium. And you can tell that because our treasury for the first time is not at zero during some month. So I just one more check on this. And you can see that we're selling a ton of our roof tiles. And for our food, we have a little bit of everything in stock. So we are importing some things, but it's not a total import. And we're not exporting our berries. Now, looking over at our military equipment, this is probably one of the areas that cost us the most. We aren't producing any of this, so we had to buy everything from our spears to our gambesons to our sidearms. We got a couple of things that we didn't buy that I'm not sure why I didn't do that, but we might want to take a look at that in the next one as well. But all of these have now been filled up. And with all of that, we've got a really good surplus at this point in time of our main materials, our food and our fuel. We've got some military equipment, which means that we should be able to form some new armies. And the last thing I'm really curious about, we had some level 1 burgage plots over here. Yes, we could upgrade these burgage plots to level 2. So let's go ahead and do all of these. And we were able to upgrade literally all of these, which I think is outstanding. The other thing I want to do before we end today is I'm noticing that we're seeing some huge fluctuation in our wheat storage. And this has me wondering if this is expiring and maybe we need to make sure that we are processing this. Otherwise, it starts to go down. I noticed this in particular while we were waiting for our economy to stabilize, that the supply was going up and down. And considering that we weren't producing any flour or making any bread, that's a bit concerning to me. And with the completion of that upgrade, every single burgage plot in our little community is at least a level 2, which puts us in a really good position. That means that we're earning money on each and every one of these. And look at our regional wealth. We are absolutely crushing it right now. 1,594 regional wealth. We've got a ton going on at our trading post. We've got happy citizens, and our village looks better than ever. And I think this is the right place to leave it. And I really hope that you've enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I want to thank you for your time and your support of this Manor Lord series. It's been a ton of fun playing this game. I can't get enough, and I've really enjoyed bringing these to you, and I'm glad that you've enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.